So in yesterday's class, we discussed the friction in fluids. Do you all understand that, all of you? Friction in fluids.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please. So friction in fluids, if you notice it, so we studied that fluids means two things. What is that fluids, everybody? Yes, please. Fluids
And
are what?
gases.
Both liquids as well as
gases.
liquids and as well as gases. So we studied very clearly what is the fluids friction and what is the examples also we have studied. So now, like meteors are entering into the atmosphere automatically because of the friction of air, they will catch what? Friction of air, they will catch what? Everybody?
Fire.
Fire. Understanding? So now, today's class, we are going to study the next kind of friction, the next kind of force we used to called as viscous force. So all of you make a dig. So first understand what do you mean by this viscous force. So you might be heard a word called as viscosity. Do you remember everybody? Yes? All
Yes,
of you?
sir.
So similar to, it's not viscosity, it is completely different than that. So all of you observe that what is viscous force. So if you notice it here, we have studied fluids. What are the examples of fluids, everybody? Yes, please. What is the examples of fluids? That is what I'm asking.
Water, air.
Liquids and gases we used to call as fluids. Am I right, all of you?
Yes, sir.
That is what. All of you observe very carefully. If I take any kind of adjacent layers of these fluids, do you understand everybody? They will oppose the relative motion between them. Means, if I take, for example, this is the one layer of air and this is the another layer of air. Do you understand, all of you? So now, if one layer of this is not a solid amount, what is this, everybody? Air. I'm considering like a layers. Okay. If one layer of air is trying to pass over the another surface, then definitely each layer will exert the friction between them and they will oppose their motion. That is what we used to call as adjacent, means side by side. Do you understand, Uma? If suppose this is a one layer of air and this is another layer of air. So why I'm speaking like this means, you all knows that in 8th class and all you studied. If I'm keep on going up from the surface, so is it air densities remain same or varies? Density of air
Varies.
varies. It is not remains constant. Understanding? Lower levels always high density air, and upper levels will be having always what? Everybody? Low density air going up. Okay. So if you keep on going up, the density of air keep on decreases or increases? Everybody? Respond. Decreases. So that is what we used to call, all of you. So there is a different layers of fluids. That is what we can say adjacent layers of fluids. You can take anything. For example, if I pour, I'm having a water. Now I pour some other liquid over this, which is less denser. So less denser than this. Now this liquid is started floating over the water. So that is what we used to say. One surface is trying to move over the another surface. That is what we used to call as relative motion. What we used to call, everybody? If one surface is trying to move over the another surface, what will happen? It is called as, everybody? Relative motion. Okay. Everyone, for example, a ball is trying to roll. Let me understand solids first. A ball is trying to roll over the ground. If nobody is stopping also, automatically ball will come to rest after traveling some distance. Am I right, everybody? Will you all agree with me? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Because a ball is trying to roll over the surface, so that what is happening? These both are in what motion, everybody? Relative motion. So one surface is trying to pass over the another surface. They are in relative motion. So definitely there is a friction between them. And always we know that friction is always act what direction? Opposite to the direction of motion. If motion is in this direction, then frictional force will act in this direction. All of you understand or not? Please respond, guys. Everybody. So that is what is called as friction. So friction always opposes what? Friction always opposes
Opposite side.
Understanding? Which motion? Relative motion. Okay. So like solid surfaces, liquids also, if I take any kind of adjacent layers of a fluid or liquid, okay. So you always remember, always they will oppose us the relative motion between them. Means one layer is trying to pass over the another layer. Definitely they will exert some force each other and they will oppose us the motion. So definitely when one adjacent layer is pass over the another layer, so definitely there is a frictional force. Okay. So that frictional force only we used to called as, what is the force we used to call? Everybody. Viscous force. The frictional force present between the adjacent layers of a liquid or fluid, we used to call as what? Everybody? We used to call as what? Respond, Ra. Viscous.
Relative motion.
Viscous
So
force.
the reliable motion in liquids and air is known as viscous force. You
Yes.
can say, sir.
Yes, Mari. The frictional force present between the layers of different layers of fluid. That is what we used to call as viscous force. Nothing, that is, the basically if it is a surfaces, we'll say it is a frictional force. But if it is coming to the fluids, we have to use some other words, correct? That is the word we are using, viscous force. Do you understand? The frictional force present in the solids, we are calling as a frictional force. But if it come to the liquids, we used to call it as viscous force. Do you understanding, Amma? All of you? Everybody?
Yes, sir.
That's what it is. Now, for example, I will give you ghee and I will give you air. Can you tell me who is having high viscous force? I will give you ghee and I will give you air or water. Water and ghee, which is having high viscous force. Anybody? Yes, Lingesh, is opposing the motion. Viscous force is a resisting force only, like a frictional force. Understand? So who is having greater viscous force? Anybody can tell?
Ghee.
Yes, please. All of you?
So what are those two, sir?
Ghee and water. Who is having high viscous and who is having less viscous force?
Ghee.
Ghee is having high viscous force compared to the water. That is the term called as, I used a word called as, what is that? Viscosity.
Viscosity.
Okay, that is what. For example, I will give you air
When the
and water.
viscosity increases, viscous force also increases, sir.
Yes, Mari, very good. So air and water. Can you tell me who is having high viscous and who is having low viscous force? Anybody?
Water. Water having high viscous and air having low.
Compared to air, water is having high viscous. So that is the reason you can notice it, all of you. So you can take, you might be studied in 8th class. You all studied a word called as streamlined bodies. Anybody? Streamlined bodies. Sorry, in the yesterday class only theriyadu. Then how sir 8th class here? Streamlined bodies,
Yes, sir.
8th class. You might be studied in
Yes,
physics.
sir.
Yes, streamlined bodies.
Straight line.
No, it's not straight line. For example, no boat will be having a square or rectangular shape. The boat is always designed, including the Titanic, front and back like this. Do you all remember, all of you?
Dimensional form.
There is no aeroplane with the
Yes,
square and
sir.
rectangular shape. Aeroplane is always similar to the shape of something. Anybody can tell? Aeroplane is similar to the shape of something. What is that?
Like a bird, sir.
Bird. Understanding? So that is what? Even a fish. That is all. So why that bird shape is like this? If I take a bird, all of you, why the bird shape is like this? What is the reason? That body is actually a what body? Streamlined body. What body it is? Everybody? Streamlined body. For what purpose? To minimize the drag force. The friction, you should not call it as a friction. You have to use a word called as what? You have to use a
Drag
word called
force.
as drag. Or you have to use a word called as viscous force. Clear?
Viscous force.
That is what. So, in order to minimize this viscous force, you can see racing cars, aeroplanes, spaceships, boats, ship, etc. They are specially designed. They are specially designed in what shape? To reduce the viscous force. They have been designed in a particular shape. That shape only called as. Anybody can tell? Yes, please.
Streamlined.
Streamlined.
Streamlined bodies. Okay. Now, if I take fish and birds, fishes will swim in where, guys? Fish and bird. Fish will swim in where? All of you respond.
Water.
Yes, please.
In
Fish will
pool.
swim in where? All of you?
Water.
Water.
Water. And bird will fly in where?
Air.
Air. Now you tell me, bird will fish in water, bird in air. Now can you tell me, whose friction is more? Anybody can tell? Bird
Water.
will experience more friction, fish
Fish.
will experience more friction.
Fish.
Fish will experience more friction.
Fish will experience more for viscous
Because
friction.
friction due to air is smaller or larger? Friction due to air.
Smaller, sir.
Yes.
Smaller.
The friction due to air is less than what? Everybody, less than?
Friction due to water.
Yes, less than.
Sir, one doubt, sir.
Yes, Mari.
If the altitude of the height of the flying
Yeah, then
bird is
even
great,
more less, less, Mari, because the density of the air is decreases, so that more less air. Clear? So more less drag force. Okay.
yes, sir.
Yeah, that is why aeroplanes always will fly in lower altitudes or higher altitudes. Everybody, aeroplanes are flying always in higher altitudes. Why, guys?
Low viscous force.
Yes, because
Sir,
to reduce the viscous force, drag force, to reduce the drag force. Understanding? Why means, remember, 10% of the fuel consumption, 10% of the fuel what you are filling is just used to overcome the what? Everybody? To overcome friction. To overcome the friction. Okay. Now, I will ask you an important question. Anybody can tell? We all studied Newton's third law. Am I right, everybody? Newton's third law. What is that? Every action is equals to what? Every action is
Equal
equal
and opposite reaction.
You are understanding? Now, of course, Arasani is asking something. Arasani, same thing, Arasani. Aerodynamics. Streamlined for particularly aeroplanes, we used to call it as aerodynamics. Okay, ma? Clear?
Okay,
now, I'm asking the question to you guys. You have very important. Let me see either how many of you are having knowledge or not. Olden days, you can notice it. Nowadays, bikes is not coming. Olden days, if you notice the speedometer. How many of you see the speedometer? Speedometer theriyuma. At that
Yes,
instant
sir.
of time, it will gives the instant
How
speed
many kilometer per hour?
the speed of the body at that instant of time in kilometer per hour it will measure. Odometer means we all people know it will measure what? Odometer. Total distance traveled. Total distance traveled by the body. That is what we'll measure in only meters or kilometers. Am I right? Speak loudly. All of you. Now, my question is, you might be notice old vehicles. Still, if you're having anybody having your parents or something, bikes and all, you can see between 40 to 60, they used to use a word called as economy. Have you heard it? Have you seen Mr. Sanjay? Economy.
Yes, sir.
Yes. What is the reason behind the economy? Nowadays, not coming. If you take my bike, it is not there. Old days, if you go 10 years before, 5 years before, there is a thing. Anybody can tell what is the reason?
Until that the fuel consumption will be less.
Yes. So remember that if you travel with between 40 to 60 kilometers, the reaction force also less. And always remember the fuel consumption rate is also minimized so that your bike will get long mileage. Mileage, will use a word, means more distance you can travel with the same petrol. Now, once you remember today also, if your car, you are having whatever the car, once your father or mother, whatever, or when you are driving, your speed will cross more than 80 kilometer per hour. More than 80 kilometer per hour. Means, for example, if you cross 100, for example, imagine 100 kilometer per hour, 80% of your fuel is only consumed by the engine to overcome what force? Anybody?
Drag force.
To overcome drag force. Understanding? So that is why when you experience a high frictional force, when you're traveling faster or slower, air friction,
Faster.
when you travel faster. Do you understanding? So that is why if you travel faster, our fuel consumption is extremely high. Do you understand, guys? What is the reason? For what purpose? To overcome the drag force. Understand, Ra? Nivedan, Kishore, Lingesh?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
so
sir.
that is what. So all of you understand, my girls say, everybody. So the shape of the birds,
Yes.
shape of the fish, shape of the aeroplane, this all the shapes we used to call it as what? All of you. We used to call it as
Main body.
streamlined bodies.
Streamline.
Streamlined bodies. Understanding? So why our cars are having this shape? Why our car cannot be a rectangular? For example, I am traveling in a bus and I am traveling in a car. Now tell me, bus will experience more drag force, or car will experience more drag force? Anybody?
The bus will.
Bus will experience more drag force. Why? Bus is not a streamlined shape. Bus is not
Yes,
a
sir. Sir,
streamlined shape.
even the car, it's too not in a streamlined shape, sir.
No, it is a streamlined shape only, Mari. That is what? The air will goes, the upper air will goes like this. Clear? Understanding? So, but bus
Yes, sir.
will experience directly like this. So that drag force is greater in bus. Okay. Now, sports car. Have you seen Lamborghini and all cars? All of you check it. Lamborghini. This
Yes, sir. Aerodynamic
Yes, sir.
principle,
Yes.
sir.
Aerodynamics, you can see the shape will be like this. Have you checked it, all of you? Yes or no? Yes.
sir.
What is the
Yes, sir.
reason? The drag force, to minimize the drag force. What is the advantage of minimizing drag force? You can travel what?
Faster.
Travel faster. That is what. Understanding?
Long distance.
Clear, everybody? Sports cars.
Yes, sir.
Why race cars and all designed in a streamlined shape? This is the reason. Okay, understanding? Spaceships, rocket nozzle. Recently, India launched Chandrayaan 3. Why the nozzle is very sharp? What is the reason, friend?
Sir, to overcome the drag force, sir.
Understanding? To overcome the drag force. Why aeroplane shape is always streamlined, front shape? To overcome the what? To overcome the drag force. Understanding? Why submarines, ship, always ship you take, it will be having a sharp edges. Why the ship, Titanic ship or
To
whatever,
overcome the
to
viscous.
overcome the
Viscous.
drag force exerted by whom? Water. Understanding, Amma? That is what. But Lingesh, sports car consumes more fuel because of CC. Combustion rate is extremely high. CC, you might be asked, what is your car CC? Ask your father and tell me. Lingesh, immediately. And any other having car, immediately ask your father and tell me, what is the CC your father is saying? Speak.
Sir, 100 cc.
100 cc, Mari, 100 cc, you can travel only with 20 km/h. Okay. Ma, streamlined shaped means, Laksha, nothing is there. You design a special shape that so that the drag force will be minimized. That is what we used to call as streamline. Understand, Amma? Laksha? Whatever the shape you can design, but it has to be minimize the drag force. Minimize the drag force, effect of drag force. Now, that is what we used to call as streamline. Do you understand, guys? Everybody? All of you? Now, Mr. Sam Car is saying that 1800 cc. I think, Mari, your recent car, the white car, is more than 2800, 2500 cc. Ask the driver if you want. I think it is
Yes,
latest one. What is that car name? It is,
Creta, sir.
yeah, what is the company name it is?
Hyundai.
Hyundai. So Hyundai, it is, I think it is more than 2500 cc. You check it everywhere. I think 2800 it is. So you can you can verify your car CCs. இது என்ன தெரியுமா CCs? Combustion rate means how fast or how slow. Lingesh car is 1199 cc. He is saying means Lingesh how fast, that is what 2000 cc. Okay, so if you take it, combustion rate means fuel consumption to increase the speed and decrease the speed. For example, if you take, if I go with the Sam car 1800 cc, if I want to achieve 50 km/h, it will take maybe 7 seconds or 8 seconds or 10 seconds. But if I go with the 2500 cc, within 2 seconds, I will attain even 100 km/h. Do you understand, Ra?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that attaining the speed, controlling also. For example, you go with the scooty 80 kilometer per hour and you put a brake, sudden brake. What will happen? We will fall down. Am I right or wrong? Definitely, because speed cannot be bring down to 20 or 30 within 1 or 2 seconds. It will take some time. Am I right or wrong? But race cars, what will happen? Within fraction of seconds, they will attain 300 kilometer per hour speed. Within the same fraction of seconds, they will comes to the 30 kilometer per hour speed. That is the variation. The attaining speed, that is what rate of changing speed. How fast, how slow is only actually CC. That CC only will decides the fuel consumption. Okay, Lingesh?
Yes, sir.
That is what you can see. You ask your father, what is your car mileage? He might be says, hardly, as you are saying, 2000 cc, maybe it will come 9 kilometers to 10 kilometers. Ask it. Ask father. Am I right or wrong? If it is 1500 cc, if you take Maruti Suzuki theriyuma, ellame, all of you. So Maruti Suzuki, like our Murugesan sir car. Recently, last year, Murugesan sir car theriyuma. Yes, please. So that is
Yes,
Maruti
sir.
Suzuki
That
800
blue
cc.
one.
Yeah, 800 cc. It will come 19 to 25 kilometers. That is also how there is no fixed point. Why? If Murugesan sir travel 80 kilometer per hour, then it may comes to 19 kilometer mileage. If you travel with the 40 to 50 kilometers, then mileage may come into 25 kilometers. Do you understand, guys? All of you? Yes? You sure?
Yes, sir.
That is what. So that is the CC. Understand, Ra? So remember, streamlined shaped means any kind of shape. What is the purpose of that? To minimize the drag force. Okay, guys, all of you? Yes. So if you make if you make a rectangular shape, any kind of object, drag force is maximum or minimum? Drag force is maximum or minimum? Everybody, maximum. Okay. If I make, for example, the same one into spherical shape, then somehow the drag force is reduced. Okay, guys, everybody, all of you. If I make this one into some other shape, for example, like you can take all of you, like aeroplane wing or whatever it is. So if I make some other shape like this, like you can imagine like a submarine. So this is what you can imagine like a submarine. So this is also, it will minimizes the drag force more or less. Is it okay, guys? Everybody? And even water means downwards also it will goes like this. That is the advantages of streamline. Streamline means, okay, guys, which will minimizes the drag force or viscous force. Okay, everybody, understand, all of you? Please respond. All of you, write the definition of viscous force. Then we'll go to the next one. Right. Adjacent layers of a fluid opposes the adjacent layers of a fluid opposes the adjacent layers of a fluid opposes the relative motion between them. Understand, Agalya, Shivani, Mr. Darshan? That is what. So write it. Anybody having doubt, please ask me. Girls, Hasinis, both Hasinis, listening or not, sleeping up. Sangamitra, madam, speak.
Sir,
Understand?
opposite the relative motion, sir.
Yeah. Adjacent layers of fluid oppose the relative motion. Sangamitra, understand what is streamlined bodies?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Do it. Adjacent layers of a fluid opposes the
In
relative.
bracket, can we write friction,
Yeah.
sir?
Yes, we can write Mari. Thus, there exists a frictional force between them. Frictional force between the fluid layers. Fluid layers. That is only, this frictional force only called as what? Everybody, what is to call? All of you? The frictional force is only called as what?
Viscous force.
Is known as a viscous force. So who will exert more viscous? Ghee or water? Everybody.
Ghee.
Ghee or water? Ghee. Water or air? Water or air?
Water.
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 Understand now, Pranav, Gokul Raj? That is what about what is viscous force. Okay. So anybody having any doubt, you can ask me. So examples, racing car. To minimize the frictional force, the racing car, aeroplanes, spaceships and all designed in a name, shape called as. What is the shape? A specially designed called as streamlined bodies. And natural examples of streamlined bodies. What is the examples of natural examples of streamlined bodies? Birds.
Fish, birds,
Yes, they are called as what?
Submarine.
Yeah, they are called as
steam.
streamlined.
Streamline.
Okay, everybody, examples. Okay, so this is what. Next, keep reading. Advantages of friction. Advantages of friction. Any doubt, girls? Gokul Raj, aerodynamics means the designing of aeroplanes and all streamlined bodies. That is what we used to call as aerodynamics. Okay. So the shape of the bodies where we'll design to minimize the drag force. Okay, Ra?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Aerodynamic force or aerodynamic drag force. That's all it is. So aerodynamic meaning means a special designing. A design of racing car, designing of aeroplane, designing of boat is everything we used to call the aerodynamics. Clear? Understand, Ra?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that is what. To minimize the drag force, whatever the designs, what is is a branch of like what we can say dynamics, which will deals about a shape of the body, designing of a shape of a body to minimize the drag force. That's all it is. So please all of you keep reading. Advantages of what, everybody now? Advantages of
Advantages of friction.
friction. Okay. So now there are many friction advantages of many frictional force in our daily life. You can make many places we can notice the advantages of friction. So this all, if you notice it, advantages of friction only. So that is why it will take more time to write. So just you learn what is generally have idea about the applications, real life applications, and then we can, whenever the time permits, you can write it. So these are the real life applications of advantages of friction or applications of friction. First thing, let us start with our walk. Do you think is it possible to walk without friction between our legs and the ground? Everybody? All of
No,
you?
sir.
No. So that is the
Yes,
first
sir.
thing. So perfectly smooth. What will happen, guys? We people will be skidding. Am I right or wrong? You people will be slippery. You'll feel slippery or you will fall down. When? When there is a polished surface. Am I right or wrong? All of you? So if the surfaces are polished, why people basically will fall on toilet and restroom or whatever it is? Because because of some use unnecessary, like what? Our body's wastage and all, whatever it is, like when we are bathing and all, the soap and all will be stuck at the stagnant, the surface, and makes the surface smooth or rough. Smooth or rough. It will make the surface smooth, so it will reduces the friction. So that is why without friction, it is not possible for us to walk on the floor. If the surfaces on which we walk is perfectly smooth, we tends to skid and we are unable to walk. Suppose I'll ask you, I'll pour coconut oil and I'll ask you to walk. Do you able to walk?
No, sir.
No. Why? Why?
Will
The
fall down.
coconut oil
Friction.
reduces the friction between the legs and the floor. How? It will not allow to lock the irregularities properly. The gaps, the irregularities is filled by the oil so that it will reduces the frictional force. Do you all understand, guys, what I'm speaking? Everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. Next, second point. This is one of the most. How many of you are using matchbox in your home? Are you all using matchbox?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir.
For lightning, suppose if you want to light a matchbox, so what will happen, guys? Anybody can tell? We have to hit on the side of a matchbox. So then only see that the friction between the lateral surface of the matchbox and the head of a matchstick enable us to light the matchstick. Am I right or wrong, everybody? Will you agree with me, all of you? So if there is no friction, for example, if the same matchbox same matchbox surface you are using for many months, do you think is it possible to light the matchstick very easily? I'm asking
No,
the
sir.
question. No, we all people will experience that. Am I right or wrong? It will take more time to light the matchstick if it is old matchbox. Am I right or wrong? Speak,
Yes,
all of
sir.
you. Because
Sir.
why? The rough surface will decreases so that it will take more time. So when we rub the head of matchstick on the rough surface of the matchbox, due to the friction between two heat is developed, and the developed heat is enough to ignite. What do you mean by ignite? Anybody can tell? What do you mean by ignite? Catch fire. What is that? Catch fire, the fuel present in the head. What is the fuel present in the head? Anybody can tell? Yes, please. Potassium and sodium metals. Okay, so like mixture of metals like crackers. So mixture of some easily catching material, potassium, sodium metals and all. So they will easily catch fire with a small friction also. So next, is it possible, for example, I'll give you one matchstick and I'll ask you to get the fire by rubbing on the glass surface. Is it possible to get? Anybody?
No, sir.
Possible to get? Why? It is not possible because we cannot get the light and rubbing it against a smooth plain glass surface. Because why? No friction. Because of why? Everybody? No friction. Okay. Now, many Rajinikanth movies you might be notice it. Mr. Rajinikanth will get the fire, like catching a fire of a matchstick from the head, from the back, from the body and all. Is it possible in real life? Do you think
No,
is it
sir.
possible? Is it possible?
No, sir.
No,
Our,
No,
it is
sir.
possible.
our skin is
Yes.
having smooth surface, sir.
It is not possible, but movies only they will show. Okay, so always we need rough surface to make to light the matchstick. Okay, see that words. What is the words we are using? Enables us to light the matchstick. Ignite, enough to ignite the fuel present in the head of the matchstick. So language is always very important. So please develop the language, writing language. What you are, then only English is not become a problem in higher classes. If not 10th class, even those who are making 4 subjects 38, English is only become the problem. So they are not even making 30 also, 25 and half, 26 and half. Next, it is friction which makes it possible to hold an object in our hand. Suppose if there is no friction, you can see what will happen. For example, your hands are wet. Do you think you can hold the object more time? Am I right, everybody? Suppose your mother asks you to lift something. So immediately you can see our hands, we will rub with some cloth or to our shirt and then only we'll go and take. Why? Suppose your hands are sweating. So do you think you people can carry the load? Anybody? Yes, please.
No, sir.
No. Why? Because of the sweat. Sweat is a what? Liquid. It will reduces the friction. So if you want to hold your object, anything, you can see even while you are writing, many times we will get the sweat so that our pen appears to be slippery from our hand. Am I right, guys? Writing time. Girls, Alfin. Yeah. So immediately what we will do, we'll rub that fingers to our shirt and then we'll start writing. Because the sweat, due to the sweat, the friction is decreasing or increasing? Due to the sweat? Decreasing. That was makers. That is what. Next. Suppose raining time, your mother or father, whomever driving, you can see, they will say, or else driver, they'll say driver to either stop or else go slowly. Why? If you drive very fastly during the rainy season, what will happen? Yes. Skidding, and it will lead to accidents. What is the reason? Because of water present on the road, it will reduce the friction or increase the friction. Everybody.
Decreases the friction.
Yeah, I will send you, Kishore. You please focus, don't focus on writing. Listen. So decrease the friction. That is why. So is It is the friction between the brake lines and brakes drum of a vehicle which helps in stopping a moving vehicle when brakes are applied. If not, it is impossible. Do you understand it? Next, fixing nails to walls and screws to board. Is it possible only without friction? Do you think that nails are attaching to the walls? Nails are inserting to the walls. It is without friction. Is it possible? That is what is my question. Everybody.
No, sir.
No. So
No, sir.
because of with friction only, the nails and screws, they are attached to the walls. Next, friction between the chain and the wheels help to transfer motion from one part of a machine to another. Read it, everybody. Friction between the chain and the wheels helps us to transfer motion from one part of the machine to another. Like a belt, you can see, bicycle. So what will happen, guys? You can take it, for example, if I want to move, suppose the belt and the wheels, have you checked it, everybody, for transporting goods and all? Suppose if I put here, if you go to railway station and all, they'll put the bags for checking one place and they'll be drag it and they'll be coming to the opposite side. Am I right or wrong? All of you? Yes? Yes. Then how it will be possible? Friction only makes the chain and wheels help to transfer the motion. Understanding? So to make it, I will send the points, Amma, don't worry, you can observe. Make us to transfer motion from one part of a mission to the another part. Are you clear, everybody? Railway stations and all we can see, correct, guys? Conveyor belt, everybody? Yes? Please respond.
Yes, sir.
That is what it is. Okay. Now, next one. Writing with a chalk. Are you all people are writing the notebook? Now, do you think without friction, is it possible to write with the note, like in the notebook? Is it possible to write? No. Writing with a chalk on a board or writing with a pen on a notebook, everything is only due to the what? Friction between the surface of the board and the chalk. Friction between the surface of notebook and the pen. Do you are clear, guys? Please speak, guys. Everybody. Understand? All of you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
That is
sir.
one. Next, the friction between meteors and the atmosphere. What will happen? This is already example we studied yesterday. The friction
Viscous
between
force.
meteors and the atmosphere produces what? Whenever, as soon as
Fire.
meteors enters into the atmosphere, they will catch the what? Heat due to such an extent that the meteors are burnt out in the atmosphere itself before they strike the earth's surface, and this is actually Howard's disaster. Howard's disaster means what? Even you can notice it in the sky. Many people you might be notice it. Understanding? Sky, some days you might be notice something is looking like a burning in a longer distance. Have you remember, everybody? All of you? Burning something is very high elevations of height. That is what like meteors. So because of the drag force, the meteors will catch fire before they're reaching to the earth's surface. Entire meteor will be burned and it will be mixed into atmosphere. Do you understanding, guys? So that is what it is called as. What is that called as? Howard's disasters. Understanding, Amma? Howard's disasters. Before striking the earth, the meteors, they will be completely burnt in the atmosphere itself. That is what we used to call as Howard's disasters. Next, all of you, it is possible to place dishes or any objects on the ground or a table